This is Soul Whiskey, and I'm your host, life coach, and soul surgeon, Tifane Falvey. My flavor is unfiltered, unapologetic, and unrefined. Truth pours fast here. It's bold, raw, and real. Buckle up because this is where grit meets grace, where the sacred collides with the chaos. Every doubt, scar, and wild hope is welcome because healing doesn't follow the rules, and it's never too late to become who you were always meant to be. Hey everyone, today we are going to talk about how to become a high vibe person so that you have the opportunity to attract high vibe experiences. People ask me this all the time and they want to know how to attract, how to attract. And the answer I'm going to give over and over and over again is you have to be that thing that you want to attract. You have to embody the energy of the thing you want to attract. So if we're talking about high vibe, you have to figure out how to become high vibe. And the best way to do that is to see yourself as a prize. Someone recently said this to me, and it really struck me. I really thought about it. How many people out there listening feel like they are the prize? That anyone that gets to spend time with them is so lucky and fortunate because they are a special treat. They are a prize. They are something to be valued. So if you think about it and you kind of look into your own psyche and you say, you know what, I don't really feel like I'm that special. I feel like everyone else is special. And that's kind of part of the intrinsic human condition is we always look at other people and in some way, shape, or form, they seem better. They have a better figure. They have a better personality. They're more funny. They are wealthier. They're more successful. They're better athletically. They come from a better family. It really doesn't matter what it is you choose, but people tend to compare and contrast themselves. And they do it in a way that they either think that they're better than someone else or they think that they're worse than someone else. But for the sake of this particular podcast, we're going to talk about when you feel less than and how to start to recognize that you are a high value individual and that you will attract those experiences once you start treating yourself in a manner that is consistent with someone that is high vibrational, that is valuable, that is cherished. And I'll give my own personal example about this because it's been something I've been going through for, I'd say, I don't really know how long on and off, but I haven't been paying as close attention to my health. Like some of the little warning signal lights I have set to the side. I've kind of tabled them because I've been busy and I haven't had the time to make the changes that I needed to change. It's kind of like when you know your oil needs to be changed, but you don't go and get it done. Or right now it's fall and that light goes off on your dash saying that your tires are low because the temperature change is causing that and you need to go get them filled. And you just delay because it's like no big deal. It doesn't seem like a big deal. Well, taking care of yourself is a big deal. And I noticed that when I was ready to make those changes and I was ready to change my diet and I was ready to shift some of the things I was consuming, whether that be TV, media, sugar, alcohol, gossip, anything like that that didn't feel like it was inspiring me and it didn't cause me to feel like I was being high vibrational. There was a massive shift that happened in my own life. And so I want to teach you how to do that yourself. And the first thing you can do is look at how, if you have an animal, look at how much you care about your animal and look at what you feed your animal and look at how your animal's health is important to you. For some of you, that might not be the case, but I know for me, my kids and my animals are really important to me. And so at times I feel like I take better care of them than I do of myself. So if you're someone that just has kids, if you're someone that just has animals, tap into that place within you that would do anything to make sure that your animal is healthy. Like I just bought a bunch of colostrum for my dog because it's supposed to make their coat all nice and shiny and beautiful. And I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to do this. And I am so super consistent with it every single day. He gets 4 droppers full on his food because I care. Now, Do I do the same thing for myself as a high value woman? Not all the time. I don't. And so when you start to become consistent in valuing yourself and caring for yourself, it means that if something doesn't honor you, if a particular person doesn't honor you, a piece of clothing doesn't honor you, a type of food doesn't honor you, you don't feel great after you eat it. First of all, you have to recognize that it doesn't feel good. You have to recognize that after you have lunch with that particular friend or cocktails or whatever it is that you're doing, that you don't feel amazing. It's not everything you thought it would be. You wanted to feel a certain way and you didn't feel a certain way. You left feeling maybe drained because you listened to them talk the whole entire time, or you felt like the subject, the content of the conversation wasn't really what excites you. And so you did a lot of listening about something that is of no value to you. That doesn't mean anything's wrong with the other person. It means that you're not valuing yourself. And the equation that we're working on today is valuing yourself so you can attract people, situations, all sorts of things into your life that will value you. So, people that wind up being the most successful in life are people that really value what it is that they do. They see value in it. They're able to ask for what they feel they're worth. Now, that level of worthiness is really different for everyone, and it's based on so many different things: your childhood, your wealth thermostat, where you feel the most comfortable. But as far as just understanding that you want to feel valued every day, you want to feel valued in the company of your friends, you want to feel valued when you go to work every single day. The way that you're going to do that is by first beginning to value yourself. So that means, do you value yourself enough to make sure that you're sleeping in clean sheets? Do you value yourself enough to make sure that you have a nighttime routine that is consistent and that supports good sleep? Maybe that means no screen time after a certain hour. For me, it means not eating after 6 or 7 o'clock, because if I eat after 6 or 7 o'clock, it seems like I don't know if it's the energy of the food or what it is. So I like to cut off liquids and food around 6 or 7 o'clock. Are you valuing like the clothing you wear? The clothes that you wear, do you feel like the stuff you pick out and the stuff you're wearing causes you to feel really great inside? Because high value people, they care about what they put on their bodies. They care about the material, they care about the fit, they care about the color, they care about so many different things, and they're willing to make that a priority. And if you're not willing to make that a priority, how do you think that somebody else is going to make it a priority? If you value yourself at work and you know how you thrive at work, you're going to make it a priority to put yourself in the conditions that would allow you to be supported by the team that's around you. And further, you're going to put yourself in situations where you love what you do, because it's really hard to make money. It's really hard to be happy if you don't love what you do. So, I want to go back to diet for a second, because high value people often pay pretty close attention to their diet. And the reason they do that is because, again, vibrationally, if you're eating things that don't agree with you or eating foods that are of low vibration, what do you think that does to your vibration? It's going to taint it somewhat. It's going to bring it down to a place that makes it hard for you to feel high vibe. So if you wake up every day and you start your day with sugar, which a lot of people do, start with caffeine and sugar, then you're going to get this sugar rush and then you're going to get the crash. That's inevitable. It's a mathematical equation. You will get the crash. Furthermore, if you're starting your day with processed foods, with cereal, with a bunch of dairy, you're probably not going to feel like your best self. I'm not a nutritionist, so I can't give you any particular advice on that. I can just tell you that I enjoy starting my day with one of two things. I like to start it with fruit, all sorts of different fruit, or I'll start it with something high protein. Those are the two things. But if I eat bread or a bunch of like carby stuff, and I'm not talking about fruit in this scenario, that's somehow exempt in my brain, because fruit is, I think, God's gift to humans. So I love it and I don't see it as a carby food. But if you're waking up and you're having cereal or pancakes or even oatmeal and you're having these heavy weighted things, it's going to cause you to feel heavy. and waited. Now, if it works for you, it works for you. Everybody has a different process or system that works for them. For me, I like things that are lighter. I like things that can be utilized, that don't have to be heavily processed. And then I'm able to experience the day in the way that I want to experience the day. One thing I'd like to mention here that's really interesting as far as being able to be high vibe, most people don't realize that when you're drinking ice cold fluids, like fluids full of ice water, when you're doing a workout, your body has to convert that coldness into something that it can utilize, which would be room temperature. So you're using a bunch of extra energy to convert that cold water into something that it can be utilized to hydrate you. So my advice on that would be to drink room temperature water as often as you can. Another one of my success formulas that I like to use to feel high vibe is the very first thing that I consume in the morning is anywhere from 16 to 24 ounces of lemon water. And sometimes I do that when I take my vitamins, the vitamins that don't need food in order to take. And I just allow myself to start the day super hydrated. The lemon is helpful for a lot of different reasons. And that's what works for me. That's what allows me to feel high vibe. And then I make my bed because I feel high vibe when I have a nice, clean, made bed to come home to at the end of the day. I like to unload my dishwasher every morning. That causes me to feel high vibe. What is your routine? What is a routine that you could establish that would help you be high vibe? I was working with a gentleman this morning who said that he's in his 70s, and he said overall he feels like he's eating really well, but he just doesn't feel like he has the stamina that he used to, and he doesn't feel like he has the strength that he used to. And he mentioned that he has a driveway that's pretty significant. And together we came up with a plan for him to walk that driveway every morning, 3 days, well, not every morning, 3 days a week, just walk the driveway so that he could begin to build strength. So you want to make sure that you're managing numerous different things. So your diet is one, your body is one, and you want to watch what you consume mentally. So the conversations that you have, the books that you read, the type of shows that you watch, the social media that you scroll, all of those should be high vibes. So after this podcast, take out your phone and kind of look at what shows up for you on your different social media platforms. I know that I love my social media because I'm really diligent about deleting things or Xing things out that are not of interest to me. So all of those ads that target me for whatever reason, maybe they heard me talk about a fluorescent flashlight or pepper spray or whatever it is I happen to be looking up that day, and then I get these ads, I will X all of those ads out because I want to be able to craft and create my own high vibe world, and it's not that. So I love like people that are really gifted with working with wood. I love art. I love music. Like I can sit there and watch America's Got Talent videos for literally hours because I just love watching the talent that is somewhat, it comes out of nowhere. Just it's like a really great hole in the wall restaurant that you are so starving and you just wind up in this restaurant and it is so amazing. To me, that's sometimes what America's Got Talent inspires me to feel. And so that's high vibe for me. I cannot speak of what is high vibe for you guys out there. All I know is that as you start to explore or even just ask the question, what is high vibe for me? What does that look like? Recently, someone that I know decided to buy linen sheets because he said, I think that it's high vibe and I'm in it for, 8 hours a day. And I would like to have my bed environment be high vibe. I know for me, I like to have down pillows and a down comforter. That's what's high vibe for me. That's what I really enjoy. And so ask yourself, what is high vibe for you? Because this isn't a big financial commitment that I'm talking about. Like with sheets, you buy them one time, invest in them, invest in something that you like. So you could either go and spend $19.99 on a set of sheets, right? Or you could take that investment and you could spend $200 on a set of sheets. And that set of sheets is going to last for about the same amount of time. So if it were me, actually, probably the more expensive set of sheets is going to last longer. So if it were me, I would want the more expensive set of sheets. So when you're looking around your environment, when you're looking around your friend groups, ask yourself what feels high vibe and what doesn't, and just start to make a list so that you're very clear on how you feel, because feelings are ultimately going to guide you into getting to have that high vibe experience. That's what it is. It's a feeling. When you're feeling high vibe, when you go to a really great restaurant and you have a cloth napkin instead of a paper napkin, or there's lemon in your water instead of plain water, or even over the top is when they ask you if you'd like sparkling or flat water. It's nice to have those choices. And so, where in your life can you add those choices? And then I think further, it's important to take a look at what can you get rid of? What can you let go of that isn't high vibe? Maybe it was high vibe when you first got it, but it's not anymore. You know, like the stained pillow, the one that someone has drooled all over, or God knows what happens to the pillows, but something happens to the pillows. And it's really important to take a look at that pillow and say, hey, does this feel high vibe? And then maybe, like for me, it feels high vibe. I like to buy those little pillow protectors, 100% cotton pillow protectors. And I just zip my little pillow right in there. And that feels high vibe to me. So, what feels high vibe to you? It can be something as simple as your toilet paper, your toothbrush, the rug that you step on when you get out of the shower. There is a very distinct difference between high vibe and low vibe, and the vibration is in material. It's in your clothing, it's in the pants you wear, the socks you wear, it's in your underwear, it's in your shampoo and conditioner. I have this app on my phone that I use quite a bit. It's called the Yucca app. You can scan like shampoos and conditioners, and you can see, I like to call it, you can see how high vibe it is. And so if it's like in the red, it means there's a lot of toxic chemicals that are used to produce that product. And if you're in the green, it's like, this is very good for you. And so I want to be in the green. I want to be in the high vibe. I want to allow myself to have that experience. And sometimes I need a little help, because in the beginning, especially with things you don't know what the ingredients are, and marketing can be really tricky. Even people market themselves to you as being a great friend, but are they a great friend? Do you feel super great when you're hanging out with them or when you're in that relationship? Because if you're not feeling, if you uniquely, individually, you are not feeling high vibe when you're in the company of someone, then it's not high vibe for you. I'm not saying that they're not high vibe. I'm not even saying that that particular set of sheets aren't high vibe. But if it's not high vibe to you, then you should let it go. A lot of people have a very hard time. It's a struggle to let things go. It's even more of a struggle to let people go. But the question that we started this podcast out with is how to become more high vibe so you can attract high vibe. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, but when I was at some point during my life, someone said, for everything that you bring home, every stitch of clothing you bring home, you should let go of a piece of clothing. And I've lived by that my whole life, because if you don't, you know what happens. You end up with a bunch of clutter. Your closet's too full. You can barely fit stuff in anymore. And then it starts overflowing. And then you have little piles in your closet, or even just on your floor of things, or it's just too full. And too full isn't high vibe. When you go to a Four Seasons or another great hotel, part of why it feels so good is because it has that minimalist quality. I think minimalism is high vibe personally. That's my opinion. But I think that that feeling of having less gives you so much more space, literally, mentally, and emotionally. So the more clutter we can let go of, whether that be emotional clutter, and we'll talk about that in a second, physical clutter, the food clutter, the snacking. Snacking isn't really high vibe for me. Maybe it is for you, but for me, it's not high vibe. So I do my best to wait until I'm seated in front of my meal to start eating, because back in the old days, I would snack the whole time I was cooking, and then I would sit down in front of the meal and I wasn't hungry at all, not even one bit. But I would kind of force myself to eat the finished product, the whole meal. And trust me, afterwards, I did not feel high vibe. I just felt like I'd overeaten, and it didn't feel like it honored me anymore. It wasn't the feeling that I wanted to have. So, when we're looking at the vibration of emotions, which is another genre here as far as being high vibration, there are certain emotions that feel so much better. So, when we're looking optimistically at life and we're looking at the things that we surround ourselves with gratitude, so grateful that I live in this home. I'm so grateful that I have this comfy pair of sneakers. I just said that yesterday. I was wearing this pair of sneakers that I hadn't worn in a long time. And I was like, wow, this is like a pillow on my foot. I love these sneakers. And I was just infused with gratitude. I'm so thankful for the people that I get to work with. I'm thankful for my children. I'm thankful for every single person that has been a part of my path over the course of my life. And I have a lot of really neat people in my life. And it's because I choose to surround myself with people that I believe are high vibe and that inspire me to feel high vibe. And that's constantly a choice that I have. And when I see someone go low vibe, I've talked about this before also on the podcast as far as your social media. When I see someone go low vibe or get really politically charged or talk about things that just they don't feel great to me, it causes me to feel a little bit uncomfortable and I want to leave the virtual conversation. I will just unfriend them. I don't need to think about it too much. I just say, hey, in real life, if I bump into them, that's great. Hey, how's it going? How are you? How's life? But as far as my virtual world, that's like my home. The virtual world has like a home environment to it. These days, everyone's pretty attached to their phones. They're also attached to their social media. They're attached to their Instagram, their Pinterest, whatever it is that you follow, including even Netflix. Like sometimes you can take a look at the movies that you watch and you can get a little snapshot of what the vibration might be of those movies. I mean, are you watching horror movies? And are you convincing yourself that that's high vibe? That's a serious question. Are you convincing yourself that a horror movie is high vibe? Now, I've watched a lot of drama movies that are high vibe that have a lot of drama in it, but there's really cool high vibration stuff in the movie that I like or things that instigate a lot of cool thoughts within my mind. And for me, that's high vibe. And maybe that's how you feel about your horror movies that you watch. As long as you're feeling high vibe, as long as you're able to find that level of high vibe for yourself, that is how you're going to start attracting high vibe people because some of these high vibe characters, they might be a little more advanced than you or a little further down the road than you, and they may have started this process much earlier than you. I had a friend years ago that said he was an interesting character, and he said, Tiff, I never have any extra socks. Like there's no little stray socks around anywhere. He said, every 6 months, I take all my socks. And if they're still kind of decent, then I donate them. Otherwise, I just dump them all and I buy a whole new set of socks. And I forget what the number of socks was that he needed, maybe 12. He said, I just buy all brand new socks. So they always look fresh, clean, and high vibe. And there's never any holes in them. There's never stained. And I thought to myself, that's such an interesting concept. And I also adopted that concept. And so there's a lot of areas where, I don't know, as a kid, I remember that was a thing. I would look at people that had like perfectly nice, clean white socks, and mine never were. And that was partially because I grew up with three siblings and we wore shoes in the house and we were just, kind of crazy kids. And so our socks always got dirty. I mean, heck, I think we even ran outside in our socks. So we would wear socks everywhere and we didn't get in too much trouble for that. And so when I looked at people that had high vibe socks, I know it sounds funny, but it's true. They had high vibe socks. I was like, wow, that is so cool. But I had no idea how they were able to maintain the high vibe socks because it was above my realization when I was like 9 or 10 years old. I didn't know how they did it. Now I know how they do it. It's very clear to me because if I go to someone's house that wears shoes in their house or has a bunch of animals, I want to leave my shoes on because I know that when I leave the house, my socks will not feel high vibe. My socks are going to feel like they've been kind of tattered. They might be full of pet hair, which just happens when you have an amazing pet that you love and you care about. And so, in order to be high vibe, you would want to stay on top of the vacuuming and the mopping. And a lot of people just, it doesn't mean you have to hire someone. You absolutely do not. It means that you have to have a routine. Hey, while we're on the subject, I have a great girlfriend that I play hockey with. She's very high vibe. And one of the things that people talk about in regards to hockey is that the hockey bag smells atrocious. It smells awful. And anyone that plays hockey or loves someone that plays hockey or has been around someone's hockey gear, they know how bad it can smell. Well, my friend, when she comes home, she has a drying rack and she takes out everything out of her hockey bag and she puts it on this drying rack so that it doesn't mold or mildew, so it doesn't wind up smelling. And I thought to myself, that's high vibe. That right there is really high vibe. And so I don't know what your activities are that you do. I don't know what your process is in life as far as seeking your own level of high vibe. I'm just hoping that through this podcast or video, you're able to take a look at the things that are high vibe and shift some stuff up in your life, because every single one of us can shift some stuff up to create high vibe. Example, when you look in your bathroom mirror, do you see a little toothpaste droplets everywhere on the mirror? Do you see hairspray? Do you see product? Do you see hairs? Do you see dust? Or do you see a nice, clean reflection of yourself when you look in that mirror? I want to see a nice, clean reflection. I want to make sure that I use the Windex and I spray the window down so it's clean. Hey, while we're at it, why don't we all go take a little trip over to our microwave? Those of you that have microwaves, open it up and tell me what it looks like. Does it look and smell high vibe? I like to put a glass of vinegar in my microwave from time to time. And it's like 50-50 vinegar and water. And I run it until the water kind of steams out. And then I wipe it out. My microwave, I don't really use the microwave very often, but it just stays nice and fresh and clean. And I'm able to wipe it down and it stays nice and, in my opinion, high vibe. So just do a walk around your house, your surroundings, your car. Your car. When you go and get gas, do you take everything out that is just littered around that's low vibe? Maybe you used a tissue to blow your nose. Maybe there's a soda can in there. Maybe there is a box of old French fries from your kids. Maybe there's one stray sock because your kid likes to throw them off and throw them around the car. I don't know. Every time you get home, high vibe would mean looking around and taking everything and putting it where it belongs. That's another thing. I think high vibe means everything should have a home in your home. And when everything has a home, it makes it so much easier to put things away so you feel like it's high vibe. When your keys have a home, you know where they're at every day when you go to leave the house. When your favorite coffee cup has a home, you wash it and you put it in its home. Everything should have a home and the home should be clean. So for me, it's very cathartic to take all of my dishes out or to clean my refrigerator and just wipe everything down so that it stays nice and clean. Because to me, that's what makes the difference between low vibe and high vibe. Now, I get it. Life's in session. We all have homes that are lived in. I certainly know this. I live in a home that was, it's an older home. And so it's never going to be like perfect. But the vibe that I like about my house is that it has history to it. And to me, history is high vibe. So again, there's no like one right way, but there are a few things that will inspire you to feel high vibe. For example, for those of you that grill, that have a grill outside, do you clean your grill? Or does it just look atrocious? I like to clean my grill. I think it's fun to keep it sparkly and clean so that each time when I go out there to use the grill, it feels good and honorable to me. Your kitchen table. Do you keep it clean? Do you wipe it down? Your toothbrush. Do you switch your toothbrush out often? I like to soak mine in hydrogen peroxide for like 20 minutes. What do you do to keep your particular life high vibe? Make a list of a few things because you don't want to overwhelm yourself. Make a list of a few things that you'd like to change. One thing that I decided to change years ago is I didn't like the taste of the city water. and I really didn't want to be buying a bunch of plastic bottles. And so I decided that I was going to start buying water in like 5-gallon containers. And that is how now I consume water. And for me, it feels very high vibe. I like the flavor of the water that I drink. And I like the process that I go through. All of it just feels high vibe for me. So for you, figure out what that high vibe feels like for you, because again, high vibration, high vibe is a feeling that you have inside. And so in order for us to reverse engineer that, we want to take a look at, where are you feeling low vibe? Where does it feel low vibe? I mean, for those of you that have house cleaners, that's great. That instantly creates a high vibe environment, and it feels really good to have someone coming in and cleaning everything. And those of us that have house cleaners know how great that feeling is on the day that the house cleaner comes and you come home from work and everything just smells fresh and amazing. Part of high vibe for me is having clean windows. I love to be able to look out the windows. And part of having clean windows also means spraying down the screens often, because they will just get filled with dust. And to me, that's not high vibe. And so start to look around your immediate environment, your car, your bedroom, your home, your kitchen, your living space, your workspace, your office, and ask yourself, when I look around, what in here isn't high vibe? You know, when I go to someone's house and I use their bathroom, I think it's so awesome when the garbage is clear. I think that's super high vibe, because I'm not looking at all of the stuff they've disposed of in their bathroom when I'm in their space, because bathrooms are really intimate. And so I want all of that intimate stuff to be gone when someone else comes to visit me. I don't want anything in that garbage. And so I just think it's important to take a look within. You want to look at your emotions to see how you're vibing there. You want to look at your space, see how you're vibing there, your clothing, see what you can let go of. You don't have to worry about bringing stuff in. First, worry about letting go of stuff. I would say that's the first part of the project, is what can I let go of? What no longer honors me? I love Marie Kondo's process of picking up an item and asking yourself, does this spark joy? Because there's all sorts of crazy things that goes through my head is, oh my gosh, that coat was so expensive. Or that purse, I have a history with that purse, but I don't use it anymore because it's ripped or it's stained or it's whatever's happened to it. So if it doesn't inspire me to feel joyful when I'm holding it in my hands, or when I'm having lunch with a particular person, or when I'm eating a particular food, if I don't feel joyful, then I don't want it anymore. I'm just going to let it go, because it's not in alignment with the life that I want to create. So that's it for today. You guys go out, take a look. I gave you a lot of different projects to be thinking about, but see if you can check on those 3 areas specifically, like your stuff, your car, and your emotions, your relationships. Just look at those and see how you feel with them, and ask yourself, what relationship am I ready to let go of? Now, I'm not saying that you have to actually go through some type of breakup. Just pull yourself back a little bit, because things naturally will occur. You'll naturally let go of things that don't align with you anymore, and then you'll naturally attract things that do. And so I'm in favor of the path of least resistance when it comes to attraction. You want to attract things effortlessly. I don't want you to have to do a bunch of work in order to attract what you want. And the hardest thing that you'll have to do with this project is to let go of that which isn't working for you. So see how that works out. If you have any questions or comments, or you'd like help going through that process, feel free to reach out to me.